And we're back. This has flown by. I cannot believe we're already on like the last kind of set of questions that I have to ask you. This has been so fun. Thank you, Kelsey. You've been amazing to have on today.
Aw, thank you so much. It's something I feel deep in my soul that I'm passionate about, and I could really talk for hours and hours and hours about this topic.
Which we love. And I always like closing out with talking about joy. And you use the phrase joyful movement, which is exactly how I describe how I move and exercise, right? The E word. I call it joyful movement. And it's a mental reframe I did for myself because I've had a similar
Mhm.
journey of figuring out what I want to do. I want to be active, but I want to do that with joy. And importantly, it's tied to the podcast. Like, I really believe that while we've been told our legacy is one of struggle and overcoming and working twice as far and getting half as, working twice as much and getting half as far, our real actual legacy is one of joy. Our real actual legacy is a full, abundant life. And so that means we got to have joy in all areas of our life, including the way we move. So, how do you define joyful movement for yourself, Kelsey?
Yeah, when I think of joyful movement, one of the first things I think about is when in our life did we stop finding joy in movement? Because inherently, as a child, you play. Nobody has to tell you to play. You just do it because it feels good. Remember when you were like running around playing tag and it was just literally a game of running? You weren't thinking about how running was hard. You were just thinking about, I'm going to get that person. And it was fun, that chase. And then there's some point along our journey as we grow up that we have an experience. Again, it can be when you're an adolescent, or maybe it's an experience you have as you get older, and we just somehow lose that excitement and that genuine just desire to play. And so I often think of joyful movement as how can I create moments within my fitness routine that allow me to play, that allow me to be curious, that allow me to explore, allow me to be a beginner, allow me to do something I've never done before and just have no expectation of what I should be doing or how it's going to turn out. And so for me, recently, again, that's been kind of navigating Pilates and just being a beginner and being like, I don't even know how to hook the spring on my reformer. And I've been working out, I've been a trainer for 14 years. I've been an athlete since I was a child. And like, I don't even know how to put a Pilates spring on. Like to allow myself to be a beginner, it's exciting and it's fun. And I think going into it without expectations allows me to find the joy because I'm not setting myself up thinking there's an expectation of how it should go. I think that's where we find a lot of the suffering and the pain is setting an expectation and then feeling like we don't reach it. And so trying something new, I think can be a great way for people to explore what it's like to find joy in movement, and it's finding something that isn't traditional within the fitness realm. Again, like a rebounding trampoline class or like a roller skating class, and those are things that we don't often think about as exercise, and I'm making hand quotes here, but they're movement, and all movement counts, and movement that you enjoy is movement that you'll sustain. Movement that you feel like is a job, is extra work on top of the very tiring life that you already have, is never going to be sustainable. So if you can introduce ways of moving your body that feel like playing, that is the quickest way to find sustainable movement and joyful movement.
Well said. And it really is about what is fun for you. You said fun, what has no expectations attached to it. And that really is the final stage. I think depending on where you are in your age and your journey and what you're doing, you may be going through these different moments of like trauma from being a little kid and maybe not being the fastest, or the other way, being like the superstar who kind of maybe burned out and can't do what they used to. And then there's like this aesthetic or like exercising for the look phase of your life. I feel like that's what I was in like my 20s. Like, I gotta look hot. That's why I don't care if I wheeze to the mailbox.
Yep.
If I look hot while doing it, that's all I care about. Right. And then there was that phase.
Yeah.
And now I've returned to myself and said, I know movement is important because I feel good when I do it. And I want to keep joy in my life in every single area. I'm no longer willing to struggle in any area of my
Mm.
life if I can help it. There's going to be challenges, of course, but I don't want to struggle. I don't want to go into it sighing. And so having joyful movement is the key. And that's different for everybody. Like you said, there is no, if you don't like a treadmill like me and the treadmill are enemies, I feel like that's fine. I love to dance. I'm not great at it, but I love
Yeah.
doing it. That's cardio, right? I love Pilates. I love feeling strong. I can't do a reformer either. I'm like old school on the mat Pilates. I should have prefaced that. Girl, I'll die if I get on the reformer. But
I feel the same way
it's
about mat Pilates, trust me. 50 of these little leg raises. Nah, that's the toughest workout I've ever done.
it is the toughest, but I find it like enjoyable and fun. I like we should be playing tag. Like we should have actual tag and dodgeball and
Right?
all these things back to
I want
keep
to have like
people
adult summer camp.
engaged. Yes, instead of
Right?
like those fitness, very fat phobic using the word fat camps and all that stuff. Wouldn't it be great to
Yeah.
have like a fun play camp? Because you're right. When we're kids, we never thought about, oh, I've done 2,000 steps now in this game. We just had
Exactly.
fun.
Yeah. And I think, one thing, when you just mentioned the thing about the steps, one really kind of simple tool that I like to use with clients and, I've talked about previously on other podcasts is really just if you are, let's say, using like a traditional treadmill or elliptical, I invite you to cover that screen. Whether that's a piece of paper, whether that's with your phone, the thing that says the calories, how much distance you've done, what your RPM is, just cover it and move your body. And then whatever point you decide, okay, I feel good or that's enough or I'm not going to do anymore, remove it and then take a look at it. Because I think for a lot of us, we're driven by random numbers like, okay, I'm going to stop when I get to 200 calories. I'm going to stop when I get to 3.0 miles. It's like, what if we just honored ourselves exactly with what we felt and allowed that to be where we decide to push further or to scale back or to start or to stop? We get so kind of hyper fixated on these numbers and it really pulls away from being able to be in tune with our body. So I invite people to try that. And it's very difficult because most of us are driven by that need to succeed, that need to hit that mark, whatever that means to you. But when you take that away, it allows you to just be and to just find acceptance and getting to 2.7 miles instead of 3 and knowing that that was enough.
And that's where the joy is. I mean, that's the point.
That's
It's
where the
like
joy
you
is.
do that, that's where the joy is. That's where you connect it with other things. Like I've learned walking for me is just, it centers me. It makes me think clearer. I start my day better when I go for a walk. I I'm with you. I no longer look at steps. I no longer time it. I just go for my walk and when I'm done, or I'll call somebody and I'll keep a
Yeah,
conversation going. And you find out you end up walking way more further than you thought you were. You're like, wait a minute, but you've connected it to having someone in community. There is the joy there. And as you said, in the joy, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep doing it.
yeah. And I think for a lot of people, like you mentioned, that sense of community is so important. I cannot tell you, having worked in gyms for many, many years, there is nothing that keeps somebody consistent at the gym and being a member that feels valued than showing up and feeling like you're not a number. For someone to recognize like, hey, I see you in here each day, or to feel like you meet that person who you come to the gym at the same time and you're like, give that little head nod to. It's feeling like community. People want to show up and be social. People want to feel connected to the time that they're spending. It's so valuable. And when you can do that and when you can have a sense of community, whether that's with a friend, whether that with other people in the group fitness class, it feels like we are healing in community. And it will be that source of motivation for those days where you just ultimately feel like you can't rely on yourself for it. And, I always, tell people movement together is going to generally keep you more sustainable and consistent than movement by yourself. But we also can't become reliant on other people to make us move. It's just the bonus, but it definitely brings more joy.
Well said. All the tips in there. Find community. Movement with others is sometimes keeps you going better than movement by yourself. Not putting a number attached to your movement, covering up the treadmill or the machine you're on, the equipment, and just going until you feel good. There is so much good information you've given us here, Kelsey, and I just I thank you for that. And so, the last question really I have for you is, what brings you joy in general? I mean, you seem exceptionally joyful to me. What brings you joy? And then the second part of that question is, how do you protect it? How do you make sure no one is stealing your joy on the daily basis?
Oh, that's a good question. It's probably the hardest question I've been asked today. Um, for me, I find joy in just honestly, I know it sounds cliche, but like those small moments. Like I find joy in sometimes just looking at I have a little French bulldog and him just having his eyes shut, laying in the sun and reflecting back to me what I need. To have that stillness, to have that rest, to find joy in just feeling the sun on my body, I think that's so beautiful. And I think, for anybody out there who has a pet, I'm sure they feel the same way and that their pets bring them a lot of joy. Um, for me, being joyful is just being around others, feeling like I'm uplifted by the people that I'm around, and then I offer that same feeling of upliftment. Is that a word? Of upliftment. I don't
It's
know
a
if
word
that is a
today.
real
We're
word.
going
I
with
made
it.
it
We're
up.
going with it.
Of inspiration, let's say, and knowing that exchange is reciprocated. As I've gotten older, I've realized that there is nothing more valuable than my energy and my time. That is something that I so deeply want to protect and have peace with. And so the people that I surround myself with, I want it to feel like an equal exchange, and that when we are parting ways, that we have left our lives better than when we found it. Um, and I find a lot of joy in doing that. And I find a lot of joy in just being able to, I don't know, have conversations every day with people and to inspire people. I think, a lot of times joy we need to find within ourselves, but there is joy in doing something bigger than yourself. And it's the fastest way to find gratitude. If you are in a moment where you're feeling like I'm just feeling so down, my goodness, the difference it can make to smile at somebody, to offer to pay for the coffee of the person behind you. There is no greater sense of joy, in my opinion, than making somebody's day a tiny bit fractionally better. And you'd be surprised how that in and of itself can really change the course of their entire day and how then they interact with others. And I often say, for me, I just want to be a torch to light someone else's, and then just have faith that torch being lit is going to light the torches of many.
Beautiful. How do you protect that then? How do you protect that spirit and that desire?
I burn out. I'm just kidding.
The end. Roll credits.
The
Roll
end,
credits.
but the reality. How do I protect it? My time, really saying no. I have, it's funny because I feel like it's a full circle moment here, but I don't just say yes to everything. It has to be a hell yes. It has to be something that I know will evoke joy and that I want to call my mom and tell her about, you know? And when I've made decisions to do that, when I've said no, I know that I've made the right decision immediately because I feel that relief that I'm doing it and I'm protecting it and I'm setting a boundary for myself. Because I also know that I can't be everything to everybody. There's only one Kelsey. I know, I wish there was a clone of me out there who could take up a lot of the workload that I do too. But unfortunately, it's just me. And so I know there's only one of me. And the only way that I could be the most inspirational, most joyful is if I set those boundaries.
Kelsey, thank you for saying that and affirming that it is about time, it is about valuing yourself and knowing that not everything is a yes. And the things that are yeses are more precious for it because of the
Mhm.
protection and keeping joy as a practice and protecting yourself. Kelsey, how can we connect with you? how can people keep chatting with you and get this great information and your energy? I think this is the best energy. How we can continue to connect with your energy?
Yeah, soak it all in. Definitely scrolling my social media. You can find me at Healthy with Kelsey or healthy_with_Kelsey across all platforms from Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can find me there. I try to be that source of inspiration in your daily scroll. I always like to think that, your next when you scroll across something that I create, that it leaves you feeling just a little bit better and more inspired and uplifted. So definitely you can connect with me there. I just launched in February the Healthy with Kelsey app. So if you are looking to move your body in a way that's full of joy and is really a non-diet, non-weight focused app that inspires you to move across a bunch of different modalities, come find me at healthywithkelsey.app. You can also download it in the Google Play Store as well as in the Apple Store. And one of my big goals for this year is to invite other plus size women of color, to come on the Healthy with Kelsey app and offer their training styles as well. So I'm hoping I can continue to grow that, and I can, offer things that I don't normally do, like teach Pilates, because there's going to be some bomb instructor out there who can teach me a thing or two, and I want to see her on my app. So, yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm excited to connect with you, and I love to have conversations. So don't be afraid to slide into my DMs.
Oh, wonderful. Kelsey, thank you for being there. Everybody, grab that app and follow Kelsey wherever you can follow her. Thank you, Kelsey, for being here. It's been wonderful to be in conversation with you.
Thank you so much. An honor and a pleasure. And I hope that there's something that somebody can take away from this conversation today.
For sure.